welcome to the Gamers Table. It is Monday, and we're reviewing Evolution.
It's another board game for Russia.
Yep.
And my favorite of
in English
from Russia.
Everyone we have introduced Evolution to is a fan and wants to play it again, which is probably the biggest accolade that you can give to a game, that people want to play it again. In Evolution, you are the one who combines different traits, adaptations of animals, and grows your own population under the ever-changing amount of food resource. By regulating the number of animals, gaining new useful traits, and struggling with other players, your population is to survive and, by the end of the game, dominate the planet. Very simple explanation. Not that simple of a game. Easy to teach, but a lot to it.
There's a lot of variety in the game, which I like.
Yeah.
The guys recently received 4 games from Russia. This is one of them, Evolution. In my opinion, it's the best of the 4. This is a great little game actually created by a biology professor. Made it as an educational tool. And it does a really good job. You end up with creatures that have to evolve and survive. You know, they either are big Tyrannosauruses of Doom, a la Chris, or they can be great big whales that nobody can touch because they're the only thing in the ocean.
It's got its educational element, all the different traits you can put on creatures and how they each interact, depending on what traits you put on them, how different creatures can survive, what it takes to survive, how food can suddenly become scarce, and now, how am I going to keep these guys alive? It's a very good game.
In case there was a tie in points, it's got a neat tiebreaker mechanic. It's usually the person who gets picked on the most, has the most cards in their individual discard pile, will win.
If only I could tie. I usually have a lot in my discard.
The cards in Evolution have 2 or 3 different options to them. On one side is the picture of a lizard, and that is always create a new creature. The other side is either one trait, like swimming or hibernation or something, or sometimes the other end of the card has a second trait, like high body weight or carnivorous or sharp vision or camouflage, something like that. So even though you're drawing a random card, the card always has at least 2 options, oftentimes 3, which means you have a lot more things to think about. And even if you have fewer cards in your hand, you can still do something. The game was created by a PhD in biology professor. And our friend Kate was over and watched this game once, and after the first game she said, if you were 8 years old, you would have learned so much playing that game. Mm-hmm. It can be used as a teaching aid. It is a great simulation of biology, how creatures adapt to survive and how some of them don't survive because of changing conditions whatsoever. I know it's terrible to play a game and learn something, but in this one, you can learn something.
Mm-hmm.
But not a boring learn something.
No, it's not boring at all. There's a lot of interaction going on here. All that's really happening is interaction and enhancing your characters.
Here are your base cards. Each card has a trait, or some cards actually have 2 traits. And on the flip side is your creature. So if you got a trait that you don't really care to use, or one that you just need to put a creature down, so you got a creature down, then you can add different traits to it. You got fat tissue, high body weight, parasites, which is something you don't put on your own creature.
You play it on somebody else.
Generally not, because then...
Not unless you really think you can feed it.
Yeah.
Your creatures all start out as herbivores, but you can add the carnivorous trait to them, and now they can eat other people's or your own creatures on the table. But it requires 1 more food before this creature is fully fed.
There is still quite a bit of randomness to it. And even though you can throw a whole bunch of traits down on somebody, on one of your guys to try and protect them, someone's just got to come along and throw a parasite on them or something like that, and they're dead. So as much as you beef that creature up or something like that, one card can again take it down. But hey, yeah, you get a parasite or disease or something like that, or poisoned. Yeah, you're probably gonna die. Especially creatures that there's no doctors around for these things. No veterinarians or nothing. So.
But thankfully, when you eat another creature, it gives you 2 food.
Exactly.
Unless your creature has tail loss as a trait and it's escape, you only get 1 food.
Or if it's fed already and it's got burrowing, then you can't eat it
or
at all.
Or if it just ran away.
Yes,
'Cause
or
it's
if it's
too
a
fat.
swimming creature and you can look at it in the water, but you can't bite it.
Swimming, right here. Yeah, only swimming creatures can attack other swimming creatures if they're carnivorous. You can't attack
Or if
them.
it's got camouflage and they just can't see it.
Unless you have
Uh-oh.
sharp vision. So,
Right.
as you can see, there are a lot of options in the game, and everything in the game has a
It's
opposite.
balanced.
Yes.
The cards are all balanced. If you got camouflage, you got sharp vision and stuff like that. If you got high body weight, you get other ones, other high body weight you can slap on there too.
Yeah, you can eat this guy, but he's poisonous, so you're gonna die
Yeah,
too.
you're gonna die.
But if he's going to be worth a lot of points in the end, you might feel like taking that hit just
Yeah,
to
but
get
if
him
you
out.
got a couple of creatures and you've only got the one with poisonous, eat it.
The key to, I find, evolution is if you can get those cooperation cards or the communication cards, you got to get your creatures to work together to be more efficient with the food. So if one of your guys with cooperation gets food, it automatically gives food to his partner, which is cool. And obviously, the teaching mechanism is kind of neat. The fact that this sort of stuff, can happen in real life, like obviously something has swimming, camouflage, that could be like a manta ray or something that blends in with the bottom of the ocean or something like that. But you can pretty much name all your creatures with creatures that actually exist. It's a lot of fun.
It's good fun. I think one of the things I'm having the most fun with is after you start getting things out on the creature. It's like, okay, it's a carnivorous thing. It's got sharp vision. It's got this. I think that's an alligator, or I think that's a T-Rex.
Oh, yeah, when you go
Coming up
name
with
it.
Trying to name them, all right.
It's a whale, now it's a whale shark.
Yeah.
Yeah, whale sharks are
Not
eat plankton.
carnivorous.
They're not
yes.
carnivorous. They eat plankton.
That's why I changed it to Megalodon.
There you go. That works. Yes.
I've prepared a statement. Hello. This is not Andy. Rather, this image is a digital ambassador representing a moving snapshot of my presence in the early 21st century. Thousands of other humans are involved in relaying this particular image to you. I proudly represent their work. If you're watching this in the 22nd, 23rd, or 24th century, then I'm likely already deceased. May this digitalization carry forth the spirit of board gaming as a hobby. Nay, humanity, in 2011. Thank you.
Wrapping up for evolution.
Evolution, I'm going to give an 8 on this one.
We like to eat
Yeah.
Ken's creatures.
So this game
Eat me. Yeah.
No, your creatures, not
Okay.
you.
has a fair amount of strategy with how you play your creatures. It has the education aspect. You're actually learning things about biology. And again, a small game, easy to pack up. This one, everyone we have introduced this game to wants to play it again. So
There is still a bit of randomness to it and everything, but
Well, it's
it
cards.
balances
Cards by
that,
nature
yeah.
are random.
Exactly, yeah.
but
The
when you
dice
have
rolling,
each
two
card
for
has
food.
two or three options.
Yeah.
It's less random. The more options to each card than if it was just here's a king of diamonds. Well, it's only one thing. I
basically
can
the
do
most random.
This
is when
becomes
you come
a-
down to the food roll.
This becomes a negotiation, politicking type game.
Yeah, there is a bit
When
of
you're in big multiplayer, it's like, yeah, you could eat my creature, but that guy's worth more points, or that person's
Yeah,
gonna win. You should
right.
probably eat their creature instead. It's like, ooh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm going to give this one an 8.5. It's got a lot of action to it. There's sort of combat going on. There's a little bit of sort of resource management, wheeling and dealing. When you see how much food is out there, you see how many creatures are on the table, and it's like, my herbivore can get some food, but that carnivore over there is probably going to try and eat him. So maybe I'm going to try and see, you should eat that guy. He's got more points than I do. Eat him. Eat him.
Evolution, I will give a 9. Evolution is just, it's just a lot of fun. I enjoy it. I enjoy creating the creature. It's a little depressing when your creature gets parasites or gets eaten up by another creature, but that's part of the game. It's a part of the cycle of life, which the game kind of teaches. That creature eats this creature, that creature eats that creature, the strong survive. I mean, it's compact, easy to teach.
Yep.
And yeah, this one, okay, Granted, the first time Chris and I played this one, we restarted about 6 times before we figured out exactly what was going on.
And really, it shouldn't have been that hard. There's the rules. And there's a little bit of description on how the game
Yep, there's
plays.
examples.
And in case you can read the cards, they got the cards listed there.
Yeah, in case you just see the trait sticking up over the guy's creature, you want to know exactly what that does. There's a reference that anybody can refer to. So that's it for this episode of The Gamers Table. Tune in next week for another review of another game.
That's what we do. Or try.
And coming up soon, the special Halloween episode.
Yeah.
So, let's see what else.
I'll give this game an 11.
Oh, I'll give it a 12.
13!
14. Do we have a 15? A 15?
No,
One more, you're done.
I'm going to stick with 8.